We're getting worked, and it's a good thing. Welcome to Gablash, a podcast where we chat on and on about the things we want to talk about. Today, I want to talk about the impending civil wars in both AEW and WWE on different fronts. I'm your host, Abby Devin. Please leave a thumbs up on this video as you get settled in. Do subscribe if you're here for the first time. Hit that bell to always offer notifications. We don't always have that weird dead air at the beginning there. It's just kind of how it happened right now. Do apologize for the pelting noise in the background. If you can hear that, he's very handsome host. Thank you. Thank you. But yes, I'm not sure if that is picking up through Streamlabs or not, but that is intense rain pelting my roof. Do apologize for that. No, I don't even think that had to do with why the computer bounced as well. And no pelting sound. That's awesome. What's up, Craig? How goes it, friend? But yes, y'all, we're live at least 5 times a week, 6 times this week with Forbidden Door this weekend. And if you're watching this on playback, do drop a comment. Maybe join the Discord linked in the description. The conversation can keep on. So, Jay finally turned on Roman, and CM Punk is working hard. Well, let's talk about it. Discord. Do I have that? Is that set up? Oh my gosh, is that going to work? I don't think I have the Discord thing set up. Oh my god, it does! Yo, that's awesome. I legit didn't even know that command was set up. Thank you, Hex, for testing that. Was unplanned. Where were we starting? Punk or Jay? I say let's talk, I have a question that might be interesting for this. Did Collision meet the hype people had for it? It exceeded it. I would say it exceeded it. So I guess that's going to lead us into the Punk talk. Eventually, we'll talk Collision a little bit more in its entirety. So for those of you who don't know, Collision, of course, was bookended by the one and only Chicago-made Punker. He came out his opening promo, one that oh my gosh, my chair will not stop rolling. So if you just see me drifting into the background like this, yeah, that's my chair. That's my chair doing that. I mean, it was a solid show. Definitely yes, it felt different than Dynamite. I think that was the thing that really helped it exceed the standard. Because while it kind of made itself clear that it wanted to be something separate of Dynamite, I feel like a lot of fans went into this expecting this to just be Dynamite 2.0 or Dynamite on a different night. And it was far from that. It had a different feel in its approach. It opened up with a TNT title match and a title change at that. You know, fair enough. I get that. They made history there. Very interesting angle they worked at with, what's his name? Christian playing it up. He was celebrating like he won the title. You see, Hex, I wouldn't go so far as to say they were approved specifically, but that's part of the magic, right? And again, I'm going to get into this a little bit more because I don't just want to be like, he's working, we should be happy, let's go. No, it's not that simple. Because I understand people's reservations far exceed simply, we wanted this to be a story and you didn't tell us it was going to be. Devin is a liar, pathological liar. I'll tell you what, I can't stop fibbing, boy. You know that movie Liar Liar? I'm the opposite of that. This is what I call now a worked shoot. Something like that. Yeah, it's effectively a worked shoot to some degree. Because all right, well let's rewind a little bit because I've kind of gotten ahead of myself here. Let's start off with these comments wouldn't have made the light of day if this wasn't a work. Yeah, and I don't know why I didn't think that in the moment, okay? You can go back to the live reactions, and you'll see me being like, is he really saying this? Why is he doing? Like, the look on my face, like I was so flabbergasted that he was really just going there. But there's so many little signs, specifically little signs that AEW has taught us to look for that weren't there. The little callbacks. All right, what was different about Punk's appearance upon coming out? Shaved head. When was the last time we saw shaved head CM Punk? His heel run in WWE during his WWE Championship run, and before that, I believe he did it a little bit for the New Nexus. Straight Edge Society, no, he had long hair for the Straight Edge Society. But that's exactly it. And then there's something that not all of us, I don't think any of us caught on the watch along, but something that a lot of people caught afterwards is that little AEW mic thing, whatever. He took that off before he started his promo and tossed it to the side. When was the last time CM Punk did that? when he turned heel during his WWE Championship run in 2012. He took off the WWE mic thing and tossed it to the side. Yep. He's planting these seeds. Now, don't get me wrong. There is a possibility this is still him going into business for himself. This is him trying to force a work. Start off shooting in a worked fashion. Make people have to retaliate in a worked fashion, you know? No, I caught that. I just didn't want to say anything because I wasn't sure it was significant. Hey, Zoe. Hello. Welcome in. We are just starting up the chatter about Collision and CM Punk potentially trying to work us. Do drop a thumbs up on the way in, y'all. It does help us a lot, especially gets us off the ground here in the early portions of the stream. Helps us get seen sooner. Hi. Hello, Ron Duffy. Welcome in. Welcome in. In the heat of the moment, you believed that his words were. That's exactly it, Craig. Because, like, you know, we're all caught up in the hype. What's he going to say? What's he going to do? All this and that. So when he came out and he said what he had to say, it was like, man, you're really just doing this, aren't you? You're just going to do exactly what people thought you were going to do with no forethought whatsoever. And then it's just like, well, duh. I mean, you only do that if you're trying to instigate a problem. And at this point, you're only going to try, with all of the legal, I don't want to say boundaries, but with all the legal precautions that AEW took with Punk in bringing him back this time around, like, Punk has signed shit that says he will not slander the company like he did before. Like, stuff like that. 59. Yes. Thank you, Zoe. Yes, I wanted to give Gablash its own identity. I didn't just want to do the pure AEW thing like I do for the AEW Watchalongs. The WWE one I also try to do, like, I try to mimic the pay-per-view I'm watching, but it never works out that well. Is Solo the next person to turn on Roman Reigns? Perhaps, but we'll be getting into that conversation a little bit, Chris. Right now, we're discussing Collision and Punk. Moment. So it's a shoot that shoots itself into a work that works itself into a shoot while working the... Something along those lines. Yes, Taekwon. Essentially, we're shoot yourself into a work, brother. Like, full-on reverse Hogan here, which is a good thing. And Mosley, he goes for 16 tonight. No. I'm not going to be having pizza this evening. Tomorrow, perhaps, but I don't think I'll be able to eat before the stream. So I will be 59 going into tomorrow. But something tells me by Forbidden Door, I will have passed with Jade Cargill. Not on pizzas, but in record. What? Yes, I see. So, like, there's two main courses of action that could be happening here. One, things have been talked about and we haven't heard about it. And not for nothing... If things have been talked about, we shouldn't have heard about it. We can't have this story if we know they've worked things out. And yes, them doing this story, eventually we're going to come to the realization, okay, they've worked something out, right? But we can't be certain of that. We can't be certain of that until we're deep into the throes of it, until we see them in there throwing worked blows at each other, you know? Didn't mean to last forever, but that legit brains. My one brain cell fry. That's great. Congratulations to Sky. Yo. Wow, that's wild. Sky Blue. Wasn't Sky Blue and Dante Martin dating not too long ago? I mean, hey, young people are young people. Things move on. People move on. That's no big deal. It's not like they were married or anything. It's not like they one proposed to the other in the middle of the ring and then was in a relationship 3 months later. Anyways. Roundabout back to this whole Punk situation. I think this is a case of they've talked something out, something is worked out to a degree. Maybe they don't even like each other or agree, but they've agreed to make money off this situation. So that plays out. Ooh, shots fired. Look, all I'm saying is what I said. So CM Punk is... I think I truly tried to feel like the point needs a blow off. I'm just not sure how I'm here. You see, this is... I got two main threads here that I think this is going on. One, they've talked something out to a certain degree, and Punk is moving, and this Punk was kicking that off while the Elite's still doing its story over there, and that's exactly it. Okay, this whole CM Punk Elite thing, that's not going to happen, Dave. We're not going to be walking out of Forbidden Door starting that feud. You know what I mean? The Elite and BCC is still going on, and that needs its organic blow off. So CM Punk's going to be over here, you know, taking his little shots here and there, and that will get everything into motion. And eventually that can just, one day, the threads will cross. It's not unlike Punk and MJF back when their feud started, because it just started on one random episode of Dynamite. I believe it was after Full Gear, and initially was supposed to start sooner than that, but it was just one of those things. Got a higher body count in Pete's Yikes! No, not doing that. Wow, that distracted me. I agree. It needs to wrap before. Yeah, so I think CM Punk is just kind of trying to is going to like feed into that little slow burn to kick that off. The moment he implied he's still in shit. Yeah, that's exactly it, right? Like they're gonna come back around to that, and I think that too will be its own organic crossover. But what will come first? Will Punk move into the title picture first, or will the elite situation happen? Because I feel like they both can't happen concurrently, and the title situation can resolve much quicker than the main feud that we're all looking forward to. Well, not all, but that a lot of people are looking forward to. Say that somewhat sarcastically. BK Razor situation? I think so. It won't be a case. It's not going to be like when CM Punk and Mox unified the interim championship and stuff. Like, it will just be, Punk is sitting here, I am claiming I am champion. I did not lose this. I think they had a visual set up once upon a time of both CM Punk and MJF looking at each other with a belt each, not unlike Cena and Punk did. But I mean, I can't be certain of that. That's just speculation on my part. So I see maybe that program happening right after Forbidden Door, leading up to All In. Maybe not even All In. Maybe they'll keep that on Dynamite for the sake Dynamite or Collision for the sake of boosting ratings, and they'll have Punk and MJF work to their third match. Not sure what they do for their third match, but they do something along those lines. And it's after that Elite and Punk kicks off proper. I mean, yeah, let Punk defend his title on. I get what you're saying, Taekwon. Defend it on like an FTW type of thing. Like he's gonna like I can see him doing something like this. I'm gonna go to that ring in a one-on-one match, and as far as I'm concerned, this is on the line, kind of thing. But then you have this weird hypothetical where Punk gets beaten by somebody random, and now this person has a championship that is in fact illegitimate. But well, so like, what does Punk say there? Is Punk gonna be like, well, in my mind, that guy's the champ. Not Max over here, that guy, because he beat me. Does all of a sudden that become Punk's guy? Does Punk endorse them as champion? You see, and it's pro wrestling, right? You don't have to think about that too much, especially if you're not going to actually do it. But it is one of those things that, especially in an AEW environment, you have to entertain the idea, rather, So, but I can definitely see him being in matches and just being like, you see, as far as I'm concerned, those were title defenses. That's something we can see happening. Now, the other scenario that I was talking about before, I can see being the case with Punk is he could be trying to impose the situation. Well, there have been reports coming out that Punk has reached out to the Bucks and them and has gotten calls from lawyers saying to not contact them. So it's illegitimate, so I see no issues. I get where you're coming from there. Like, it's one of those, and I don't either. I mean, kind of, but not like problematic. It's not an actual problem. Just can cause some complications, at least for some zany ideas. So I could see Punk just going out there and saying these things, and now it puts them in a position like, do we respond? Do we not say anything? Because, I mean, they can call the bluff. They can let Punk go out there and keep doing that, and eventually Punk looks like he's harping on something that is done and over with. But I honestly hope that's not the case, because then that means one way or another, this is just a measurement of ego. Missed this. Probably, but I that's never been my humor. So I can understand missing it. Well, I can see why I missed it, rather. Dang it, there was something else to it that I wanted to say, but tripped and stumbled along the lines. Okay, so yeah, it's not coming to me at the moment, but more or less, if this is Punk trying to go into business for himself and make this situation happen, then that can really end up not good. But even then, it could play out well. It's one of those things that I'm just not sure. I'm just not sure is a good idea if that's the case. I really hope this is a matter of them having come to terms with one another to some degree and making this happen. I feel like Punk knows he's on thin ice, though. Oh, absolutely. The fact that he has all of these legal documents that have put him into this position, like if he does what he did at Brawl Out again, he is going to face some severe legal think ice. He's going to have some severe legal consequences to face if he were to do anything like Brawl Out again. There are certain things he outright can't say legally, I imagine. So unless there has been some sort of agreement reached, or those were outright false reports, which is the least likely of the scenario, then this is gonna blow up in his face if he's trying to make it happen. Sorry, I think I've lost a lot of surrounding activity. I'm distracting. Think ice, though. Now, also, there's the FTR situation, right? FTR Bucks, that's a whole thing that can spawn out of this if it's just not outright the trios match. And this brings my thought process back to Dax Harwood and how he put out there, Elite versus CMFTR in the main event of All In. That's the way you sell out that stadium. It's like, is that where we're going with this? Is that what they're trying to build towards? Because one idea that just popped in my head right now is CM Punk's talking that mad shit about MJF. MJF finally pops up on Collision and says, I hear you keep talking about me. I'm the best. I'll take you on. I'll beat you because I've beaten you before, kind of thing. They'll have a match on like a July Collision or something like that. And Kenny Omega's music will hit during it. And he'll walk out and Punk will be distracted by it. And bam, MJF gets him, defends the title. And that's how you officially kick it off because at that point Kenny's like, so, I hear you think you're right. Something like that. Hello, who's out here talking wrestling? The CM Punk. So, in turn, I think this is a very good thing for AEW if this is indeed a work through and through. Good. I hope you're hanging in there. I hope it's not too late for you. You're an night owl. One can only hope that CM Punk isn't just trying to force the situation. Because if he is, then I'm pretty sure they brought him back in time for Wembley. Just too convenient. Kind of. You see, a lot of people were under the impression when Wembley was announced that that's where Punk would return. Yeah, I hear the heat's been pretty gnarly up over there in the UK. Do hang in there, stay hydrated, stay air conditioned, or at the least keep your air flowing in some way. But it is convenient for sure, Hex. I think that he was brought back like in time to build something organically for Wembley. Does it even the rain has? Oh yeah, because the humidity is only just going to flare up the heat more. I know that much from my area. But also Buddy and Andrade. Buddy and Andrade was wild. Those two dudes just went at it. And then they, over time, just ended up injured. And then they fought through the injury, said, no, we're going to wrestle anyways. And then beat the hell out of each other some more. It was so awesome. The way they just... And on the commercial break, too, we were able to see it on the fight feed. So you were able to see them... like in real time, like the doctor 10 to 1 and then another doctor tending to the other and then being like, nah, get off me, I got a fight to fight. And oh man, did they square up. And not for nothing, Such a good story told. Really was. It was like both of them had something to prove with that match. It's just like got a fan. Okay. That's good to know. Oh, that's good to know, Flora. Glad you're able to stay air conditioned to some extent. I am definitely interested in next week's Collision. Specifically, I'm interested in this week's Dynamite because apparently the Elite are not going to be there, and apparently Punk is, despite the fact that he has not been announced for the show. Because, of course, Chicago is going to be housing Dynamite for the 7th time this coming Wednesday. I say that like that because outside of Jacksonville and Chicago, no venue has hosted, no city, I should say specifically, has hosted an AEW Dynamite more than, I believe, 4 times. Maybe 5. In the case of one. But, like, Independence, Missouri is one of the few cases if they've only been there 4 times. Like, yes, please. Do the things Zoe say. Drop a thumbs up if you haven't already. Yeah, I have such a bad attention span. I'm so sorry about this, y'all. My head gets so all over the place in running the stream. Especially looking at it. So, yes, what I'm saying, what I was getting at is I'm looking forward to seeing several things upcoming in AEW. I'm looking forward to seeing how Dynamite plays out with Lady was also for yes, they killed it in that match. I gotta say, they had something to prove with that ladies match. But I'm interested to see Dynamite in Chicago, no Elite with Punk again. He's probably at that point. I feel like that's going to set up Punk's Forbidden Door match, which is looking like it's going to be a match with Kenta. Oh my goodness, right? The match of the GTS. People have been asking for that for like a decade plus. And then we will have, I mean, there's Rampage also in Chicago as well. Also for the 7th time. But we're going to have Collision in Toronto, which will not be Punk country. So that's going to be interesting to see Punk pop up at and how they react to him on it. As well as just seeing how the second episode of Collision plays out, especially when it's going to have quite a dose of Forbidden Door on it, because it's going to be the night before Forbidden Door in the same city as it. So there's going to be a lot of things setting up for it, I'm sure. AEW is going to do that thing where we won't have the full card until the day of the show. I assure you. We only have 4 matches announced to the pay-per-view as it stands right now. And 2 of them were established like weeks ago already. So it's like they could be building up this card a bit more. I feel like we need to get some more New Japan thrown on it. You know? And everything about it has been pretty much AEW versus New Japan. But I mean, like, let's get some more like New Japan-driven stories going into this. I do think we can do so. Speaking of delays, I think we could do something with Willow defending her title. Maybe we can do a champion versus title match. We can have Willow Nightingale challenging Tony for the AEW Women's Championship at Forbidden Door, because she's the strong women's champion. And then you could have that be a case where like Tony goes over to New Japan Strong Show sometime later after that because she's pinned the champion and challenge her for it. And then you can have something involving maybe like Britt or Jamie popping up and costing the match to Tony, you know. Things like that I think would be a fun way of telling that story, branching it out with having your little bit of crossover going on. Put over the fact that we got, you know, New Japan Strong Women's Champion here on the program. We might see the IWGP Women's Champion pop up. If she is going to do that, we could maybe do that like soonish, nowish. Honestly, need Jamie to get better. I miss her so much, dude. But I think it's going to be fun. I think she'll be ready in time for Wembley, and I would not be surprised if they kept her return for Wembley. Like, announced a return match for Wembley, and when she comes out, that pop, when that siren of her music hits, you know it will be on. Have her versus Tony, and it'll be great, right? Because that'll be like their 3rd match as well. It'll be their 4th. Jamie and Tony tear it up. Not just in AEW, they've torn it up elsewhere as well. Those two are a class act when they get together in the ring. It's probably the goal where she is a hometown. Yeah, I get that, but here's the thing. Something I've seen a number of UK fans say. And we have UK fans here in the chat now, so feel free to voice your opinion, especially if it differs from this. But I've heard quite a few AEW UK fans say, I'm not so much, like, pretty much say that they're not so much interested in placating to the hometown field. They're there for AEW. They're investing in the AEW product, not to see the UK stars in AEW. That's what I've seen quite a few. That's the sentiment I've seen online. Every single time, not every single time, but quite a few times when I've seen, like, oh, Saraya versus this person, Jamie versus this person, Pac versus this person. I can almost always find it somewhere under being there, like, I'm just going for it'd be cool to see UK stars on there, but I'm going for AEW first and foremost. Like, that's the general sentiment they echo. It's not that word for word. It's not that exact point each time, but generally that's the takeaway from what they're saying. So I find that interesting that it's like, it's not a matter of hometown representation for everyone as much as it is just like being able to see the show they like live. I think that's cool. Of course. Now, if it's like, oh, this person, if you're from the same area as Jamie Hayter and you're like, oh my gosh, she came from where I came from. Like, absolutely. There's nothing wrong with that resonating with you whatsoever. And I'm not trying to say that doesn't resonate with people. In fact, I've seen people all the same be like, oh, I would so love to see this. I would so love to see that from the UK. I'm not trying to put words in people's mouths as much as I'm just showing that there is a perspective I wasn't aware of that is kind of floating out there. So, well, it would be cool to see her pop up there for the hometown feel. I don't think that's something that, like, people will harp on. I think the pop will be it won't be 90,000 people big, but the pop will be a humongous regardless of what show or when she returns. So, yes, I think we have chatted AEW a fair amount. Let's move on over into another land's civil war, one where there is a bloodline silver war. Yes, it is the war of the silver and of the gold. No, the bloodline civil war. We have the Usos united and standing against the bloodline. We saw them drop Roman in cathartic fashion, in epic fashion. That is going to be an all-time clip. Oh my gosh, Zoe. They're like, oh, the bloodline is failing. Everyone's like, oh, this is a masterful story. We're loving the storytelling. And Zoe's like, is it over yet? So, yeah. We finally had Jay see the light, make his mind up, and realize that the loyalty is not paramount. His loyalty to his family does not need to subject him to the abuse, to the dressing down, to the constant proof of loyalty. As much as I want Jay the story, not the rise of it was. You see, you say that, Hex, but Roman's goal is to elevate his family in this, and I think there's still plenty of time for somebody to rise. You see, because Roman's downfall is more so about him losing the title, being defeated, being pinned. Whereas the rise can come without necessarily being the cause of those things. And it doesn't have to be all at once at that. So that is something to consider. Oh. We got some lagging thing majors. I want to see Roman have a downfall. And I think that's coming. I think it's coming sooner. I don't think it's going to make it to WrestleMania. The point I've seen made is like they have enough story fuel to go from now until they have enough story fuel. How do I put this? they kept the title on Roman at WrestleMania because they thought we would have enough story fuel to go one full circle back around to WrestleMania. But now they're already pulling a trigger that you would think would come 3/4 through that cycle, not 1/4 through that cycle. And it puts us in this position of now we might be seeing Roman losing his title by SummerSlam, unless somehow there's some sort of soft reset to the story dynamic, which is really weird. He won't be champ in this story. Jay might not be, maybe will be. It all depends. Because he did say he was going to elevate this. This did start with Jay, can end with Jay. But could also go to Solo. Solo has been proven to be very dominant. Well, it all started at Payback. Yes, Cameron. Who and what are they bringing back this year? The pay-per-view Payback. So there's something they have planned with that. A month after... Oh, it's going to be a month after SummerSlam this time? Good. I remember the one that Roman won it at. It was literally SummerSlam, 1 week of Raw, NXT, and SmackDown, then Payback. Literally 7 days later. The Fiend held that title for 7 days. Oh, you're referring... Yeah, no, Payback 2020 was a week after SummerSlam 2020. Because it was such a hastily put together card. Randy Orton and Keith Lee were on that card. I don't even remember the Drew McIntyre match. 7 days. Yep, it was literally 7 days between PLEs. It was obnoxious. Fiend's title reign. I remember because I'm like, he literally has a week-long title reign now. That was the Fiend, and you Undertakered him. Because that's what happened to Taker. Taker became the youngest WWF champion in history, defeating Hulk Hogan at Survivor Series 1991. But because of Hogan's politicking and disliking something that Undertaker did in the match, which wasn't even intentional, had him drop the title back to him 5 days later at this Tuesday in Texas, which was another pay-per-view. So it was literally 5 pay-per-views back to back. But back then, that made much more sense because wrestling didn't have weekly television as often. As for this month, I'm not sure how long we have until, well, between the gap. I'm not even sure if Payback is in fact going to happen after SummerSlam. It's possible. I haven't looked at their calendar, to be honest. I'm trying to track and see where the Bloodline story is going. You see, that's the thing, right? Is this year alone, it has swerved me so much. There have been certain parts where it's like you see a mile coming away. All right, Royal Rumble, we got the situation with Sammy happening, but how's it going to happen? Played out in a way no one thought it was going to play out. You can go towards the Mania, leading into Mania. It played out in a way we never thought would play out with Jay siding with them, turning on Sammy in that way he did, you know? KO and Sammy coming back together because of Cody. Them main eventing Mania. That, I think some people may have seen coming. But then there was also the little loyalty arc with the Usos leading into Backlash and Night of Champions. That's stuff that a lot of people didn't see coming the way it did. So it's interesting how they're doing something that AEW has proven to be very good at, and that is to zig when you think they're going to zag, and it end up being better for it. Oh, that's the direction. Okay. Now can this lead to Jay winning the title back? Not winning the title back, and it winning for the first time? It's possible. It's very possible. I would like to say, I hate that the tip of my nose is so itchy right now. I don't know why it is. I'm sorry, guys. You probably see me keep itching at it. Sorry, I guess I just did a fat line of Coke or something before doing this. No, I'm totally joking. 100% joking. But it might be like a nervous tick or something. I just keep feeling this little itch right here at the tip of my nose, and it's so bothersome. I mean, event SmackDown's Jay vs. Roman, and Roman finger pokes rated everything because let's waste our time. Sold up in the kilo. Oh my god. Let me turn up this air a little here. How long is the stream going? 4 minutes? 3 hours. Oh man, I really did the job. No. It's fine. Just blame TK. Oh, he'll never get away from those stereotypes. But he is such a coffee drinker. Like, you'll see him on interviews, because he'll do, like, hour-long interviews, and he'll be like, slam coffee drink cup, slam a cup coffee. Then you'll see a new cup, slam in the cup. It's like, dude, calm down. I remember his interview with Ariel Helwani literally was stretched out a little bit because Ariel kept him, like, 15 minutes more. TK went to go use the bathroom because he had drank so much coffee. And I'm like, I can relate to that so much. Y'all who have sat there with me for the pay-per-view watch-alongs know. Y'all know. Y'all who say used to sit there for the retros, y'all know. I got a baby bladder. Coffee. I'm not surprised. It is Florida. Damn. He does run the Jacksonville Jaguars. Anyways. No, I'm kidding. I'm so kidding. That was horrible. So I think this is there's a few ways this can go, right? Because the pattern we're seeing now is everybody one by one is seeing Roman is no good for them. Is Solo next? Now that Solo is stood by them and his brothers kicked down the tribal chief and then kicked him down. How long before they start to be like, see, this is what's happening to you. And eventually it's going to all come full circle. And they're going to look at Sammy and be like, you were right and you paved the way for this. Because that's exactly what it did. The loose story beats with their own unique spins on them because popped a little too hard. Okay, I'm glad he got the right reaction. Because these little story beats have their own little unique flavor to them. Because, you know, first it was Sammy being like, no, this is too much. I can't stand by this. And then it was Jay being like, no, this is too much. I can't stand by this. And then finally it was Jay being like, no, this is too much. I can't stand by this. But in each one of those beats, for each one of those characters, was a very different drive, leading to that realization, a very different reaction to how they handled that. But all with their own mirror images of that. Oh my gosh, no, that's congratulations. I'm proud of you, Zoe. What a reaction. Hell yeah. I love that. So do we follow that? Or is this the rule of three? And the fourth is going to be Solo, and Solo's going to truly stand by Roman and going to keep that title on Roman for another year. Because that's realistic. That is truly the case. We saw it, because what they set up at WrestleMania, and I think a lot of people let this slide by them because there's so much else going on around the story. Cody's whole, you're not ready to Solo, and then beating him. That really put Solo in the position of having to prove otherwise, right? Solo really had to step up. And so what did Solo do a few nights later at Mania? Right after getting sent out, he was right back at ringside like the man cloned himself or something. Threw on a hoodie, went around the long way around the crowd, came back out, spiked to Cody. Okay, so he's doing overtime. Is that what's going to happen? Was that foreshadowing of what the bloodline is going to be, where it's just going to be the wise man, the tribal chief, and the enforcer? Because that's not bad in theory. Of course, as we'll be sitting here for the next year being like, oh, more story about the bloodline. Take that back. Zoe, I'm a realist to a fault. Okay? This is the reality we are looking at. If Cody does not win that briefcase, then he's not in that match. So he's not winning that briefcase. He's not cashing in. He's not getting a shot at Roman, who is on the other brand. This will be bland to a certain degree if they don't find some interesting ways to make it happen. And I tapped my thing and I made it roll over again. I refuse disrespectfully. I appreciate your stance and how concrete it is. But, and I respect everybody else who feels that way, and I'm not even trying to sit here and say I'm advocating for it. I'm looking at the realistic possibilities that they go about, okay? Because I don't want them to do that unless they can find a creative way to doing it. And don't get me wrong, I'm kind of in the camp, in hindsight, of like, maybe Cody losing at Mania wasn't a bad thing. I do agree that the better reality is the one where Cody won, and we're living in a world where Cody's the world champion right now. We didn't have to do all this rigmarole and create a new championship and all this other jazz. And then the lineage isn't intact and stuff like that, and then Roman can go off, and we're done. Like, I still think that's better. But where we're at right now is not a bad thing. I do think that I'll take the title off Roman myself. I do think we are now at a point where they are putting themselves in the position of having to finish things. But it also felt like they did that at Mania. And it also felt like they did that at Clash. And it also felt like they did that at Day 1 in 2022. So there's been several instances where it felt like Roman could not keep the title and did. And that's where I'm like, at this point, never say never. Okay? When you look at that horrifying shirt that came out after Mania with Roman Reigns with a goat head raising the hand saying life's unfair, and still it was like, this is the reality they are bracing us for. I really want Cody to take it off Roman, but I don't think it's coming. I think they're saving it for a Mania 40 rematch. I truly do. I truly believe that's going to be the case. One day my nose will stop itching and we will all rejoice. Truly. I'll understand where this is coming. Maybe it's the caffeine. Maybe it might be the caffeine. Because now my nose is like turning red. Now you're looking like a dwarf. I got a red ass nose because I keep itching the tip of it. And there's no match for Crybaby Inc. confirms. Oh no, we'll run through. We the ones. What? Devin go to rehab? No. No. I actually see Cody challenging Seth and being the second champion. It was confirmed by Sean Ross. SRS confirms this weekend the plan is for a fight for the new bloodline to be dethroned by Krabby. That's a down the road prediction. You see, I get that, but the thing is, that completely undermines Cody's intention. Cody is supposed to finish the story. You can't finish the story by winning a brand new championship that doesn't have the lineage. The whole thing about the WWE championship was it has the lineage that his father, it has the lineage of a championship that his father almost won but didn't win because countout happened. And just imagine the disgrace at WrestleMania 40 if Cody wins the match by countout. Honestly, if that's something they're going to do, they should have done it at WrestleMania 39. I feel like I'm going to be old by the time Roman drops the... No, here's the thing. This is the closest they've had since Hulk Hogan in the 80s to match Bruno Sammartino's legendary title reign. I just couldn't resist. And they only have to sit here with Roman for 5 more years. And me now. Yep, only 5 more years. The McMahon kids, how not cool Roman Reigns was while he was in the bloodline. And they'll be like, we know, Mama. We see him on TV every week. Dear God, please, no. What, guys? You don't want to be sitting there in TV deal negotiations 2028 and be like, what are you talking about? Roman Reigns has been champ 8 years. It's been working for us this whole time. You don't want to, you want to be a part of this? Hi, Spaz. What are you doing? You like some laughs, huh? Sorry, gotta do some cat dad things. I see Spaz. Give her pets right. No, come here, babies. It's okay. She was about to jump down. She felt unwelcome. I had to let her know that she's welcome. Give her the pets. I see Spaz. Oh my god. Taekwon. Oh man. But yes, I genuinely don't think they're gonna do that. I don't think they're gonna try and go for that. I don't want to say I'm certain. I'm fairly sure Roman drops the title sometime this year, whether it's SummerSlam, Payback, Survivor Series. I think he's gonna drop it this year. At the very latest, WrestleMania 40 is when he'll drop it. But unless they're trying to have him hold the title until Payback 2024, he's not going to beat a pop for Spaz, not going to lie. I don't blame you. I saw her on that playback just creeping in, and I was like, what's up? The Storms have had her really spooked. When I came home, she came right up to me like, "Can you make the big boom stop?" As much as I love a long title reign, I'm out on this one. I totally get that. Hey, Dara, how goes it, fam? Hope you're doing well. Currently in the midst of talking the Bloodline's downfall. So let's reel ourselves back into the present day when it comes to Bloodline. All right, so we have the Bloodline Civil War match planned. Money in the Bank. We have a tag team match between Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa versus the Usos. That match is going to be how it plays. That's going to be the one that really sets the tone for the next chapter of the story. Long time no see, right, Tara? It's been like a whole 2 days, man. It's been forever. I hope you've been okay. Hope it's been well for you, fam. Love to see you. Fam, I will specify. I feel like I say the word right. So, like, if the Usos lose here, what then, right? What happens to the Usos if they lose? I think it'd be like, all right, now hit the bricks. Because if they lose, chances are it's going to be some very shady circumstances, right? Like there will be something that goes down in a way that sets them up to lose. It won't just be like they lose because because Roman and Solo were definitively better. Does Solo get pinned, and then does Solo get pinned again? I suppose. Because I don't think that's a good idea either. How get out of this? Does it end in a no contest? I feel like it could end in a no contest. It's cat hair. Calm down. She's shedding. She nervous, baby. When a Roman loses 2-on-1. I could see that happening. Something to eliminate Solo from the situation and the Usos just run roughshod on him. That would be an interesting situation. But then it'll be like Jey Uso gets the pin, right? All right. Jey Uso gets the pin. I'm a Spaz fan page now. We love this. We stand for Spaz. She's baby. Pure white bean. Say now. Just what was I saying? But then yeah, I can see it to be where Jey gets the win and it doesn't hurt Roman title. For Roman, the title reign looks ridiculously strong. Co-champions, which is there is the concept of co-champions, but I think that also diminishes the Usos into the twins again, right? And the whole thing that Roman used to get the manipulation over Jey to begin with was you won't be one of the twins anymore. So they need to come out of this story not being the twins. They need to be separate individuals. So what I see is in this tag match, Jey gets the pin, and that sets up a one-on-one match, probably at SummerSlam, that Jey will lose. And then they will come to a rematch at Payback because Jey will have lost because of shady circumstances. So we bring back Hornswoggle and have him win against Roman. It's only the right way. Oh, man, that reminds me. My first year of the job that I currently work at, I had coworkers that said I looked like Hornswoggle. I don't see it. Shout out to him, though. It's pretty dope. The next maybe should be the Roman versus Jimmy or Bloodline Fatal War for the Undisputed title. Personally, I wouldn't have. What, the 4-way, Zoe? Or are you referring to the jokes? When it comes to the 4-way, that's not a bad idea, Dar, but I think they're the jokes. You see, the thing is, I think a few more steps needs to happen to get there, Dara. One, Solo would have to sour on Roman while still not being okay with the Usos. And then you have a case where Jimmy and Jey are in there, and they're supposed to be on the same side, but they're very clearly both competing for a title that they would both theoretically want. So now you put them in a position of no longer being on the same page. So it's a real... I think that drives a wedge a little too far. When it's Fatal 4-way and Oos in every corner. It might not be the... I mean, it's not impossible. They can get there. I think they can get there. That's not me trying to say it's a bad idea through and through. But as it stands right now, it'd be hard to get there, specifically by SummerSlam, which is, I think, still the end of July. Maybe it's in August again. Hornswoggle retiring are the worst news ever. Right? Hey, what's up, Devin? How you doing? What if they split the championship like Lake Cool did? You see, I like the idea. Don't even worry about Zoe. You're in high spirits. I was just seeing some of your Twitter posts before I went live, and I was like, oh, wow, there's a lot to unpack here. Hornswoggle retired. Day is ruined. No, your day is still good, because Hornswoggle still streams and is a great lad, and he's fun, and he's awesome. He just doesn't wrestle no more is all, but he's still a great dude. He still does content. He's still somewhere you can watch him. No day being ruined. Sorry. Cracking my neck. Anyways, there's one more thing I wanted to say before I wrapped here, because we'll probably wrap a little early. I also got something I gotta do after this. Oh, it's a story. I'll fill you in later. Yeah, I can tell there was a lot of context to unpack there. So yes, in short, I think that where this could be going is either Jay or Solo taking the title. But there's going to be a lot of work that needs to be done before we get there. If Payback is the September pay-per-view, then that gives us a good 3 months or so to work ourselves from here to then. And I think that's perfect, because then you have Roman full-on 3-year story on pop-up. Oh, yes, and one last thing before we go. Ciampa returned on last night's Raw. Was so happy, right? Because I saw it a mile coming. Turns out, Fightful Select reported that he was in the building like an hour before the show. I didn't catch that report before the show, but I could still tell that's where it was going, because Miz was like, face anybody, no, blah, 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 blah. And then sure enough, no one will survive. And that's another thing. He got his theme back. He doesn't have that garbage generic theme that he tried to justify in his Instagram story for the sake of making people slow their outrage. No, he got the theme we all like back. That's what's so cool. Please destroy Miz, join. Oh, that's exactly what he did. He returned and destroyed Miz. Miz did an open challenge. Ciampa came back and won. Came back and accepting that challenge and won. When I heard the song, right, it was just like, yes. Once Roman loses, does the person who beats him win one title or 3 different ones? Wins one title. What it looks like the belief is the winner of that, pretty much as soon as Roman drops that title, the person won't be known as the undisputed WWE Universal Champion. The person will simply be known as the WWE World Champion / WWE Universal Champion. The Universal Championships lineage will officially be retired, and the WWE Championships lineage will continue, which would explain why even now, after he got the new title design and they updated the graphic, you go to WWE.com and you'll see Roman Reigns is listed both as the WWE Champion and as the Universal Champion, because they still recognize the lineages as separate, despite the fact that they acknowledge it as one collective championship. Personally, I want to take that fugly title. I don't blame you, but out of the 3 W designs they have there, I kind of think it's the best one. I get that people might just go to the traditional black one with the black background, but I do think that the gold background works for it. It just needs to be a different toned. I think that's a little, people say mustardy. I do think it's a little too yellowish. I do think it's a little too, like, brass. Like, it feels like it's brass behind it, and maybe that was intended, but it doesn't come off very well when you have the 2 different metals clashing. But ultimately, what they could have done is what they probably planned to do. I've seen this little theory floating around. This is not a report or anything, just a theory I've seen floating around is the title Seth has was supposed to be the title Cody was given after he beat Roman at Mania. Now, according to Nick Khan and other reports, Cody losing was the plan as far as months before Mania. I don't believe that, personally, based on how the story was told. But apparently, not apparently, but some people theorized that there was not supposed to be this World Heavyweight Championship thrown out there with Seth and stuff. It was supposed to be Cody was supposed to carry that title around as the new WWE Champion. The undisputed WWE Champion, I guess you would be able to say. but because there wouldn't be a second world title at that point, and he'd probably be defending on both brands, maybe they would reestablish the Universal title over on SmackDown or something like that. Maybe they would create another world title. I can't speak to that, whatever the case may be. But yes, a thing that justifies this theory is when you look at Seth Rollins' championship, it only says World Champion. It does not say World Heavyweight Champion. You see, that's exactly it. Hex, as far as on official, in an official capacity, Roman was always planned to win. That's what the report is. As far as Cody winning, when Cody won the Rumble, the plan was for him to lose to Roman. But the way they told the story leading into Mania is it felt so very clear that Cody was going to win, and he didn't. So then it's like, okay, this feels like a changed plan. And then when you look at this title debacle, where it doesn't even say heavyweight, and it's called the heavyweight title, and you haven't added it in yet since, it's like, so then that tells me that you can't add it in so easily, which you would have definitely done if you could. So that means this title design's just kind of been laying around, and we found out that they do just leave title designs laying around. There was once upon a time a 205 Cruiserweight Tag Team Championship designed and ready to be put out at any point in time, and they never did. In fact, it was because a few talent found the titles and took pictures with them that they supposedly were never put out. Since when? Since never. Because they said, oh, you want to try and ruin good things? Even though you're not ruining good things, we're going to not do it then. And this is right around the time where they were like setting up Akira Tozawa and Hideo Itami to be a tag team. And they were setting up several tag teams on 205 Live. 205 Live. I miss that show. That show, when it was cared for, it was a great show. It was a fun watch. That was Rampage before Rampage was Rampage. Rip non-existent WB NXT Cruiserweight Tag titles, right? It's just like, why you do this to me? So yeah, there was all of that going down. It's mind-boggling to me that that's the way it is. Because even now, when Ripley's title was made, I don't believe her title actually says women on it. It just says World Champion. Which I don't think I don't think exactly is a bad thing. It takes me back to 2019 when Triple H decided to remove the word woman from the NXT Women's Championship in terms of like how it'd be addressed. Like on graphics, it would still say NXT Women's Championship, but like when they were talking about the champion, they would just say NXT Champion, and people were in an uproar because it's like, you're erasing women, when the whole concept behind it was something that Becky Lynch presented in an interview the previous week, and that was, if you truly want to make it equal, then why have the word women in there if you don't have the word men in these titles? You know, just take it even across the board. So his approach to that was, all right, then they're just both the NXT champion in their own regards. The context is what will tell you which championship it is, you know? When you're going Adam Cole versus Keith Lee, you know they're referring to the men's NXT championship. And when they go Raquel Gonzalez versus Shayna Baszler, you know they're referring to the NXT women's championship. Signing up to become a WWE employee right quick, right? You see, and I'm not sure how other people felt about it, but I thought that was a good idea. I kind of liked that idea. I look over to AEW, the TBS championship. That is a women's championship, but we don't need to call it the TBS Women's Championship. Hell, even with the women's championships as they were for years, there was no other singles championship there was no Raw champion or SmackDown champion, you know? So you didn't have to put the word women's there if you didn't want to, without the, like, I don't know. That's one of those very inconsequential things one way or the other. So I just, the boys and girls championships. Oh gosh, they would do some shit like that. The world titles are the men's titles. The mid-card titles are the boys' titles. Yeah, I could see Undertaker saying some shit like that. He's never been a mid-card champion before. Only ever held world gold, baby. The lads and ladettes. But anyways, y'all, that has been Gablash for the week. I'm going to be signing off here now. I hope y'all enjoyed the chatter. I do apologize for my attention span. I can get so sidetracked on these shows so easily. Been trying to streamline that, find a better way to keep myself a little bit more focused. But nonetheless, do drop a thumbs up on this video. do subscribe if you haven't already. You know, if you're the first time here, hit the notification bell to always on so you never miss when we go live. We go live 5 times a week, sometimes 6, like this week, where we have Forbidden Door. You see this little graphic over here that tells you when we go live every week. Tuesday is looking like it's going to be the more permanent home for Gablash for the time being, at least until AEW Fight Forever comes out, which is actually pretty soon. So Gablash may end up becoming just like a pay-per-view post-show only kind of thing, because as it stands, next Monday is the next Gablash, which will be the day after the pay-per-view, and Tuesday we'll be hosting our MyGM mode playthrough, which we normally do on Sundays, save for when there's a pay-per-view like there is this week. So yes, do check us out for Dynamite, Rampage, and Collision, all when they go live in your local area, live as it premieres. We watch along with the fight feed on the Discord. So if you're a member of the Discord, you can watch the stream and the show. Please do swing by. Jump in the Discord, drop a like on the video. Y'all have a good one. Yeah. See you tomorrow. Peace out.